The job of America's correctional officers is often thankless. However, First Responder Nation recognizes the importance of the thin gray line. We have curated a collection of corrections collectibles, including challenge coins, medallions, pins, keychains, and more, all available at amazing prices. Use promo code USA10 to save 10% off your order. Spend $30 and shipping is free to any address within the United States. Click the link to get yours now at www.correctionalofficernation.com.
Hello, today I want to give you my top 5 reasons why we're losing good correctional officers. And no, it's not only because of the pay and overtime and sometimes mismanagement by supervisors. There's other factors also that I'd like to talk about. But here's my top 5. Let me know your thoughts and what you think I missed in this video. Thank you for watching True Prison Stories. Gary York, please subscribe. Okay, my number 1 reason, and I think this comes up in every conversation when it comes to why our officers leaving, and that's pay. Now, pay is not the sole answer to everything. You know, you can give a pay raise and people are still going to leave, but I'm going to tell you it is a big factor for many people that leave. When you ask them, why did you leave? And one of the reasons they give, there's usually 2 or 3, one of the reasons they give is the pay is too low. And there's promises of pay raises every year that never come. Well, that's true. You know, I did my time with the Florida prison system, and then I went and did 13 years with the Sheriff's Department. And my retirement is much higher because I went to the Sheriff's Department because they pay more money. So pay is a big thing. And it is number 1 on many people's list. And it won't solve every problem. But yes, let's stop talking about pay raises and let's give pay raises. And here's another thing that really hurts a lot of officers' morale. Number 1, I talked about every year, towards the end of the year, yes, next year we're getting a pay raise. Even supervisors discuss that we're going to get a pay raise probably next year. And then it doesn't happen. That's a big downer. So let's don't even discuss it, supervisors, if we're not sure. If we're not guaranteed that we're getting that pay raise next year, just don't even discuss it because it's a morale buster. And number 2, the pay raise does come in and it's 2% or less. You know, hey, we'll take any pay raises. Please don't get me wrong. But come on. Let's get some more money out there to these officers. 2%, that's almost like an insult, because what happens is, and it's happened with me many times with the state or even with the county, you get a pay raise and then your medical and dental insurance goes up. Well, that little old 2% pay raise is gone, and maybe even some more. It depends on how much your insurance goes up. So let's make these pay raises worthwhile to the people that stand between the criminals and society and protect society. Remember, corrections is now being called the toughest job in America. And just like school teachers who teach our young deserve more money, so do correctional officers. I had to throw teachers in there because I have a thing that for teachers also, that they're spending too much money out of their own pocket to buy school supplies. That's terrible when a teacher has to reach in their own pocket to buy school supplies for his or her class. Anyway, back to us now. Pay was number 1. Now, number 2 complaint I hear a lot of, and I'm telling you what, it's not only what I've seen, but I'm hearing it right now. We're having people leaving the Florida Department of Corrections left and right. And we have people, we're getting to where our officers' years in service are 3 years or less. And our experience is leaving, and this is dangerous when our experienced officers leave and go to other agencies for more pay or just leave the profession altogether. So abuse of overtime or forced overtime. Now, listen here, cupcakes. You're going to have to do overtime. Most agencies in corrections and in the prisons or the jails do ask you the question when you're hired, are you willing to work overtime? So you know, you're going to answer yes or you wouldn't get the job. So you know you're going to have to work overtime, but we just don't want people abused to the point they're fatigued, and that's happening. And we're getting to the point where officers are forced overtime so much that it's interfering with their life at home. And listen, any human being in any job needs that time at home with their family, friends. They need that time to get away. So number 2 reason that I'm hearing is abuse of overtime, forced to stay 6 days out of 7. Now, some people love this. I know people that volunteer and they'd work every day off they have. You know, I don't know how they do it. I did the overtime quite a bit at the jail, except for my last 5 years. My last 5 years, I just quit doing overtime because I was fortunate enough to have moved into a position where it wasn't mandatory overtime. So I went ahead and took my last 5 years and without overtime. But a lot of people love overtime and a lot of people don't. But remember, even if you don't like overtime, you're going to have to do it in this career. It's just a thing that's there, and it's not going to go away, in my opinion, because we're losing too many people, and that's the topic we're talking about. But we have to find a way to fix this so that we cannot overwork or abuse our overtime, our mandatory overtime. That's another reason people are leaving. Now, a third reason that I'm hearing and I've seen over and over is poor managers. You know, a manager can run off a good employee. We know that. You know, you've seen the statements of people saying a good manager will keep people and a poor manager can run people off. So poor managers that will abuse overtime and make certain officers do too much and certain officers in their little inner circle, that'll really hurt you. If you have a little inner circle of officers, and some people call them the good old boy group, that will destroy you. That will run people off. A manager with a poor attitude, I don't care attitude, just do it. That's what I told you to do. Just do it. I don't have to tell you anything else. You know, those kind of things will hurt the morale of your staff and will force people to look for other jobs. So poor managers will definitely run some staff off, and corrupt managers will definitely run some staff off. We have got some issues going on here in Florida at 2 or 3 different prisons right now with some cover-ups and abuse, and I've seen it happen before, and it will run off the good officers and keep honest officers from doing their job correctly. Okay, that was number 3. Now let's get to number 4. Some people just can't handle the stress, okay? So this is nobody's fault. This is not the pay. This is not the abuse of overtime. This is not poor management. Some people just are not cut out to do this job. They get in here, they get through the academy, and now your classroom days are over. Your lunch from 12 to 1 every day is over. Now reality sets in, and you are a big dog now. You are on the shift, working the dorm alone, doing your overtime on one of your days off, and you can't handle it. So, you know, if you can't handle the stress, get out of the fire, and that's what's happening. You know, the fatigue, the stress, the dangers of the job. The toughest job in America is corrections. The suicides are higher in corrections. The substance abuse issues from stress and fatigue, the divorce rates are higher. It is a tough job, folks, and you can't be a cupcake if you're going to make it through this career. You have got to get that shell hardened, and you've got to roll with the punches and make it through. And I understand it's just not for everybody. So number 4 on my list is just can't handle it. Just can't handle this type of job. And you really do need to go if you can't handle it, because if you can't handle it, how are you going to back up your fellow officers? How are you going to be ready for them mentally to assist them when they're in trouble? So that's my number 4. My number 5 is the days of the long-term employees seem to be fading away in the sunset, or seem to be gone. You know, every generation has its thing. I'm a baby boomer. We had our issues. Every generation has something new going on. And our newest generation, or the last two generations maybe, in my opinion, they're not cut out for 25, 30-year careers. They're movers. They want to move to different jobs all the time. They're always looking for something better. The grass is greener on the other side. No offense, that's just the way it is now. No offense to the newer generations. You know, I see many of them come in, and the first thing I ask them is, hey, how long you been here? I've been here 2 years, but I'm going to leave. If I don't get the road, I'm leaving. I'm going to go to IT, or I'm going to go to school for radiology. Hey, those are great. We need them. But that's what's happening, folks. The newer generation doesn't get what they want. They leave. Boom. And we're going to see, I believe, fewer and fewer people in corrections make it the 25 and 30 years. And to those of you that made it 20, 25, 30, 35, and I know a couple that made it 40, congratulations to you. Thank you for your service. God bless. You're a trooper, and you made it. But that could be a thing of the past. We'll see. The next 20 years will tell us how many people we actually see making it to the end of a career. But the long-term employee, I believe, is fading away, and we're getting people. Let's take the Florida Department of Corrections, for example. Many officers that I talk to that are still active in the Florida Department of Corrections are telling me there's so many 2- and 3-year employees out there. There's hardly any old-timers or experience out there anymore. And that's what's going to hurt us. That's what's going to make the job even more dangerous. We have to find ways to keep our employees. Now, I'm not saying baby the employees, you know. Shape up, Buttercup, you know. Get tough. That, you know, we still have to tell people you need to shape up and get tough. But we need to do some of these things like 1, 2, and 3. We need to do more. We need to give more pay. We need to not abuse the overtime. And poor managers need training and development and better education on how to keep these new employees, because a lot of us old-timers are gone. We're retired. A lot of you now are in your 15, 18, 20-year marks. You're getting ready to go in the next 5 to 7 years. What are we going to be left with? We're going to be left with the new folks that want something now, or they're going to leave. It's just going to get tougher, I'm afraid to say. But listen, it is a job that has medical and dental benefits. It is a job that at the end of the rainbow will provide you a pension. I have a pension. And in Florida, we have what we call the DROP program, and I completed that. My wife completed that. So, you know, after all those years of low pay, at the end of the rainbow, there's a pension with 75% of your retirement here in Florida. And if you do 30 years, 90% of your retirement. And if you do the 5-year drop, that's a heck of a bank account you'll have when you get out. So think about all these things before you jump jobs. Job jumping, those 20, 25 years will come up on you so fast, and you'll end up having 5 years here, 3 years there, 4 years over here, and no pension. No pension to speak of. So you better start getting a savings account going and discipline yourself, or stick with corrections and help us fight through these things, and we'll make it better. We hope, we pray, and if not, we got a long haul ahead of us. All right, thank you very much. I'm Gary York, True Prison Stories. Please subscribe.